Hi, my name is Eric Mathewson, founder and CEO of WideOrbit. I'm sitting here in the back of my garage on Thursday, May 7th, 2020, recording this clip using a $50 green screen we bought my middle son for Christmas about 3 years ago. He used it to make iPad movies. I never thought I'd have a use for it personally. I would like to say thank you to the NAB for putting together the NAB Show Express to cover for the canceled NAB Las Vegas. I do look forward to meeting all of you in person someday and absolutely wish you and your families great health during this unusual time. And I also hope you're having a little bit of fun while we manage through the COVID pandemic. It's not an easy time. WideOrbit clients do operate 24/7, 365, and we support our clients on the same basis, whether it be through fire, flood, tornado, hurricane, the occasional ransomware, and now, of course, through the COVID pandemic. Our employees work really hard supporting our clients and helping them operate more efficiently and make their work easier. I would like to give a shout out to the tens of thousands of broadcasters out there who, again, work really hard, providing a great service to entertain, inform, and communicate with their viewers and listeners. It's not easy. It's a lot of hard work, and they do a great job for it, and they don't get enough credit for it. Today, we have 4 very talented senior broadcasters interviewed by 4 senior executives at WideOrbit. They'll be talking about the challenges of operating a broadcasting facility during the COVID pandemic. First off, we have Liz Mosian, who's EVP of Revenue Operations and Data Strategy at Entercom. She'll be interviewed by Mike Zinsmeister, WideOrbit's Chief Revenue Officer. Next up will be Kurt Rao, who's the Chief Technology Officer at Tegna. He'll be interviewed by Will Offman, our Chief Product Officer, and they'll be talking about how to save money during these, again, challenging times. Next up will be Al Lustgarten, who is the EVP Technology and Information Services at Hearst Corporation. He'll be interviewed by Bruce Roberts, our president. They'll be talking about how to better manage money. And finally, we have Kent Nate, who's the SVP and Chief Financial Officer at Bonneville Corporation. He'll be interviewed by Tim Swift, who's our Chief Operating Officer, and they'll be talking about how to better collect money. Again, thank you for watching this video. And next up, Mike Zinsmeister and Liz Mosian. Thank you very much.
I am Mike Zinsmeister. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at WideOrbit. I've been joined by Liz Mosian, the EVP of Revenue Ops and Strategy at Entercom. As a person who's gotten to work with you for a number of years, Entercom's been a phenomenal partner to WideOrbit, and you particularly have been really helpful to us. You constantly push us forward as convergence of linear and digital is top of mind for the industry as a whole. You've certainly been an ally and an asset in helping us push the ball forward. So thank you.
Thank you.
So a couple of quick questions. First off, has your approach to engaging with advertisers changed as a result of COVID-19? And if so, how?
I wouldn't say that our approach has changed per se. Audio performs exceptionally well during times of crisis. And this COVID-19 pandemic is really no exception for us. In times of crisis, people are always turning to audio. It's a companion, it's a lifeline, and during a time of crisis, it's a means of connecting. So our listeners are highly engaged, whether they're seeking information, entertainment, or just a distraction from what is happening around them. So, all that said, as a multi-platform audio company, we are well positioned to provide advertisers with a trusted and safe environment to communicate with their consumers. We're working very closely with our local businesses in our markets, helping them to get their messaging out, whether it's a local restaurant that's, changed to curbside pickup or online delivery, whether it's a national brand that, wants to get out their message of support or comfort to their consumers. We've always taken a very consultative approach in our sales efforts. And I think that, with everything going on right now, it's certainly the spotlight is on that even more.
Absolutely. The second question I was going to ask is, have you noticed a change in expectations from your advertisers and agencies during the crisis? Are they looking for more from you? Are you helping them to adapt? How's that working out?
Yeah, we have seen some, I wouldn't say them changes, but again, a greater emphasis on certain areas. I think one, for example, is creative. I think, everybody's talking about the speed at which you're able to modify your messaging to consumers. It needs to be built quickly. It needs to be cost effective. It needs to be able to be remote and optimized in real time. And audio creative has always been a great place to go to turn around your messaging in near real time. So we've certainly seen that, and we've seen a lot of emphasis on our in-house creative team, and we've been relying on them quite a bit to help create custom messaging for our consumers. I think the other thing is, advertisers, they want measurable results. They want to know that if they spend $1, they're going to get 2 back. Right now, the ROI on marketing investment has never been stronger. And, we've been building out, as Mike, some advanced data capabilities through our advanced audio team for quite some time now, whether it's, being able to measure the outcomes for specific advertisers that they're looking to achieve, whether it's being able to provide advanced audience insights into who's listening on our stations or on our podcasts or on our streams for consumers to make sure that, again, we're targeting to who they're trying to reach during this time. So I think the emphasis has been there quite a bit as we help businesses get back.
Good. I definitely have seen that. I mean, just as a person in the industry, I've been watching to see how fast people would change out their commercial content and make it more applicable and relevant to what's happening. And clearly radio audio was the first place that I started to see that. And you guys were just, I think it felt like you were leading your clients to like, hey, look, let's adapt quickly and let's see what we can do to be on top of this.
Yeah, for sure.
So what lessons do you think might carry beyond the current situation? What do you see as temporary solutions that may become permanent?
I think that the ability to measure impact on one's business for the advertising spend, I think that will continue to be front and center as advertisers and agencies come back online and begin to spend and look to make sure that they're working with trusted partners that can deliver that creative in real time, that can deliver the results that they need. The other thing is something that you and I have been working on quite a bit, and WideOrbit's been a great partner to us as we look to make, audio easier to buy, more efficient, finding ways to connect systems and leverage the great technology that's out there today to make, audio, whether it's podcasts or streaming or radio and the aggregate, buying impressions, buying reach, easier, right? So, I think really excited about the work that we've been doing to find ways to connect our sell-side platforms to the buy-side systems that exist. And I think that momentum that we had coming into this is only going to be greater as we come out. And it's a great time to start to set those systems up.
Yeah, there's no question. As somebody who's been working in programmatic, and I loosely define that as one part workflow automation and, connecting buyers and sellers in a more automated way, and the other part data. You've always been focused on both sides of that. There's nothing that's underscored the importance of it quite like this situation has. And we've got to figure out how to make those transactions happen faster and easier.
Absolutely.
Are there any last thoughts or things that you'd like to share?
No, just, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. And I second the comments you made earlier about our partnership. It's been something that we've valued for quite some time. So looking forward to continue working with you and your team as we, come out of this, not only how we were, but also stronger than how we were coming in. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Will Offman speaking. I'm the Chief Product Officer at WideOrbit. I'm delighted to be having a quick chat with Kurt Rao, the Chief Technical Officer at Tegna, who I've known for over 15 years. It's been a while, Kurt. So how are you doing during these crazy times?
Well, good to see you. I'm doing well, getting used to working from home and operating remotely. It's a new learning experience, but so far so good.
Good. I'm very, very glad. So wanted to talk a little bit about cost savings. So part of any good crisis management is, of course, planning for cost-saving measures to help mitigate any sort of potential revenue losses. So I'm very curious, are there any specific initiatives you've been working on to manage the financial impacts of this COVID-19 era?
Quite a few things. Well, Tegna operates, 62 local media stations in about 51 markets. And our goal during this pandemic has been to inform our communities with, facts, not fear information, right?
Mm-hmm.
So employee safety has been a number one priority for us as part of that. And we've enabled remote work, right, for everyone, including content production and distribution, right? And that's been, a top of mind for us as we think about the pandemic and all things in terms of managing cost.
No, that's fantastic. Are there any specific business areas that you've been focused on for cost savings?
A lot of what I think is going to happen from a cost saving perspective is lessons learned coming out of the crisis. As an example, we've had to put in VPN infrastructure to allow for, our staff to work remotely, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We see that as a model going forward, that not everyone needs to work out of a fixed premise,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we see, opportunities to reduce potentially real estate costs, network costs, et cetera, right? If we can leverage VPN, right? Second, I think as we are doing today, everyone's on video conferences all day long. It is a new learning, and I think we've found that it is productive to have everyone on video meetings. People seem to be much more open in asking questions. We're seeing much more interaction, right, from using video conferencing. And so when I think of that, again, think of the T&E expense, right, and reduction in travel, and right.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one example. The second is we think of, the work from home and remote production. We're producing things using consumer grade technology. Right? So we're using iPhones, we're using, applications built for the broadcasters that run on an iPhone. And the quality is pretty good. Right now, we do have challenges with things like, audio levels. But at the end of the day, I think we are able to mask a lot of that. So the next opportunity we're going to look at is how do I build that at scale, right? And can we build, centers of excellence around remote production capability,
Mm-hmm.
right? That can help us take cost out and at the same time, right, deliver quality product.
Oh, that's very interesting. Are there any technologies that you're exploring right now that you think can help with that? And I'm also curious, along with the production side, the newsroom, et cetera, because our specialty is sort of traffic sales and billing. Are there technologies you see coming out or things that can help you going forward as well?
Absolutely. So look, just thinking of video conferencing, right? We are encouraging all of our sales teams, our advertising sales teams, to use that as a means to connect with customers today, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are leveraging, WideOrbit as a basis and our integration with Salesforce as the means of, what are the clients we should be calling on, who's been spending money with us, who hasn't spent money with us, right? Creating call lists, using Salesforce as a mechanism to track productivity, right, of our teams during this crisis. And as we think through this, right, a lot of, I think the future is going to be around how do you manage a remote workforce?
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, I think one that maybe you and I are more familiar with managing a technology workforce or a technical workforce, but it's very different when you think of sales and marketing and production, right? So we're looking at a lot of different things, but ultimately it all comes around to our core business, at least in this example, around advertising.
Wow, there's so many changes that are going to be happening. It'll be interesting if we have, virtual sales folks where they're just doing these types of Zoom style meetings in the future and prospecting.
I've worked for global organizations where your team is spread out around the clock, around the globe, and and this kind of capability, I think, is inherent to operating in that environment. When it starts to think about production and live content and live news as an example, I think you gotta stretch those kinds of capabilities a little more.
That's great. Thank you very, very much, Kurt, for your time. Please stay safe and sane, and I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the quick conversation today.
Thank you.
I'm Bruce Roberts, president of WideOrbit, and I'm joined today by Al Lustgarten, vice president of technology and information services at Hearst Television. Welcome, Al, and thanks so much for joining us today. Hopefully you, your family, and all the Hearst employees are doing well.
Yeah, we're doing very well. We're at our home in northern New Jersey, and we're feeling well. And listen, I'd like to say before we start how proud I am of Hearst and Hearst Television. They provided essential information every day to our viewers about the crisis and health resources in their communities. And they've raised an unprecedented amount of money to support people in need in our communities.
Terrific. Why don't we jump into it? So Hearst was one of the very first broadcast groups to centralize traffic operations into one facility. How did you manage the transition from the hub to remote access for all the employees? What challenges did you hit along the way? And then what lessons did you learn?
Centralizing our ad operations more than a decade ago was a key move that's proven to be a key contributor to the success of Hearst Television. Being able to oversee all ad-related operations in a central location, maintaining a single instance of the database, has enabled us to handle the transition very seamlessly. In addition, we have a lot of standardized policies and procedures to guide the staff, and we're a metric-driven organization, and that ensures that we meet our deadlines and maintain productivity. And we have strong analytics in place to provide essential reporting during the crisis. Data has become very important to us, and information has become very important to us as we manage the crisis. And we really need to understand what's going on, and this reporting capability that we have has done that in a very effective way.
Remote has changed all of our lives. This is the first time I've worn a collared shirt in about 2 months. We keep adjusting.
Me too. I wear a lot of t-shirts.
Are there any takeaways that you can apply to workflows once you return to quote unquote normal?
I think it's unlikely that our whole workforce will be back in one location, certainly for the next 6 or 8 months. We probably will be very reluctant to bring everybody back at one time. So we may go to 2 weeks on site, 2 weeks off site type of scenario just to break up the workforce so that we don't run the risk of having all the workforce impacted at one point in time. One of the other takeaways was, getting people access and into the application. And we already had defined a strategy to move a lot of our workloads to the cloud. And I think one of the things that I take away as a technologist is the fact that we need to accelerate those efforts. A true web experience through a hosted application is going to be a lot more, it's going to be easier for us to support than doing it ourselves.
Yeah, as CIO, your purview goes well beyond ad operations, and you cover a lot of things. Are there any experiences you can share with our audience that could benefit them should we ever face this type of situation again?
I think the overarching thing is be prepared for the unexpected. The last thing I'd say is what we've learned is you need to over-communicate. Employees are nervous and anxious about things. We've had great support from the senior leadership of our company about keeping them informed on the company's plans, and having that constant communication, I think, has been a comfort to our people and, made them a little less anxious in this difficult time.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. In fact, you as an organization have been phenomenal communicating. As I watch TV stations throughout the U.S., what you're doing as a service has been fantastic. So I can't thank you enough for today.
My pleasure, Bruce. And I look forward to the time when we can see each other in person again.
Stay well, Al. Thank you again.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tim Swift. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at WideOrbit. I have the pleasure today of talking with Kent Nate, who's the CFO at Bonneville International. Kent and I have known each other for 11 years now. So, Kent, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. It's a privilege to have a conversation with you, Tim.
Awesome. Well, obviously, we've got a couple of questions that we want to throw your way, specifically as it relates to the collection of money and how COVID and all of the issues that are going on at the moment are affecting business in general. So as we look at the whole situation regarding COVID, we know that most people are concerned about cash flow. So what impacts are you at Bonneville facing in respect to your receivables at the moment?
Well, clearly, I'm sure, just like most other people, we're seeing an extension. People are paying later. And we haven't seen it yet, but we anticipate that we will probably see more bad debt. We are a company that has a lot of local clients, and local clients seem to be the ones that are getting hit the hardest and may not be able to survive because they have a narrower threshold. So we're taking preparation for some of that by increasing our bad debt and a few things like that. So that's kind of where we're seeing the pain of this coming through on the receivable side. However, because of who we are, we actually are not being aggressive on the collection side. We're actually being more communicative and trying to create discussion with our clients rather than being very aggressive with the cash flow side, with the anticipation that by doing that, we can have a little better relationships and we can also help them maybe stay around when they wouldn't otherwise.
Kind of fostering that longer term relationship with them so that when we get through all of this, that they'll return back as sort of a, I don't know, with greater respect for yourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. We see ourselves as a partner, not as a vendor, and that's part of our partnership. In fact, one of the things that we've done is for local clients, we have extended length of credit. Typically, your local clients have a shorter term than agencies and so forth, and we haven't done it as across the board, but our AEs know that when a client is in a situation after discussion with them, that we're willing to extend longer terms of credit to help them through the process and to make them a partner with us.
How's that being received?
Most clients are very grateful because the big issue with a lot of small business is it's a hand-to-mouth cash scenario situation, and to be able to extend the length of time that they have before they have to pay us makes it much easier. Do you pay payroll or do you pay some of your clients? And we find that that's part of the partnership. And even though it's a little more challenging for us cash flow, we have that flexibility to do that. And we see it as an opportunity to strengthen our relationships with our clients.
What about the impact on you as a company, though, and longevity and employees, those types of things?
We're a little bit unique, I guess, because we don't have debt and our ownership has significant cash. So we have a cash position that lets us really deal in the short term from a long-term perspective. We don't have debt covenants that force us to have certain cash levels or relationships. And so we see that strategically as a value, and we're taking advantage of that from that perspective. And the other thing I think we're doing is we're being much more communicative with our clients. In fact, we've added a third-party vendor to do nothing other than to reach out to clients and to have customer discussions. Our approach to dealing with this is to try and understand where the client's at so we can better understand the risks and what makes sense from a term, and also how aggressive to be with them in the collection side.
So you've identified like a couple of processes, additions to the mix at the moment that's trying to lean in on the situation. Any other types of policies or tools that you're looking at leveraging to assist with the situation at the moment?
Well, one of the other things we're doing is because we have all the industry information coming out of our WideOrbit system, we're actually looking very closely at the industries that are doing well. And being more aggressive, one, to get ad placement with them, but also holding them tighter where industries where, like, example would be entertainment industry or, tourist industry, we're going to be more flexible because we know that that's an area that's got hit harder. So we're trying to take into consideration all the information we can about every client to identify the correct way to be a partner with them and to help them in the process.
Gotcha. Method of collection. How are you sort of trying to put policies in place that make it easier for them to actually then make payment to yourselves?
Well, so we one of the easy things is that we try and most people now like to pay by credit card, unfortunately, because of the cost involved. But so we've installed the WideOrbit payment system, which allows all of our clients to pay directly. They can get copies of their invoice and pay directly on the invoices and so forth. And so it's a very easy one-touch scenario. About 60% of our processing now really comes through credit cards. And we had been using 2 different systems, and as of June 1st, we're closing down the other system, and it will be strictly a WideOrbit payment processing methodology. So that makes it easy for the clients to use the software so they can pay a full processing of multiple vendors at the same time.
Willing to accept ACH as well as credit card?
Absolutely, yeah. We do have a small amount of ACH that comes through, and the nice thing about those is they post directly to, so you're once again removing some of your burden of making sure correct application, so that when you have conversations with the client, they're up to date and there's no confusion about where everybody stands.
What about cash in advance? Is that sort of increasing at the moment, or extension of more credit being a little bit more lenient?
We're actually being a little more lenient with credit on local clients when we think it's a good risk. The philosophy being that inventory is very loose, and obviously our inventory is, gone today, so there's no value in having empty inventory. Haven't seen significant movement in cash in advance versus that, but in some cases we've provided some cash or some terms where we probably wouldn't have if it was a strong economy and we were fully loaded on inventory.
Awesome. Well, it certainly seems like you're taking a proactive stance in, one, looking after your clients, the relationships that you've got, but at the same point, making it easy for them to actually make payment to yourselves. So all credit to yourselves at Bonneville.
Well, thank you. We think that this creates an opportunity for improvement down the road for both us and our clients, and so that's the approach we're taking.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thanks for spending the time with us, Kent.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Mike Zinsmeister, Chief Revenue Officer of WideOrbit. I just want to say thank you so much for joining us, for trying to define the new business as unusual. I want to say thank you to our client partners for joining us, Al Lustgarten from Hearst, Kent Nate from Bonneville, Liz Mosian from Entercom, and Kurt Rao from Tegna. Thank you so much for participating, for sharing your insights. Thank you for continuing to move the ball forward in the communities that you serve. Thank you for trusting WideOrbit as a partner to manage your operations. And if there's anything at all that we can do, we're here to help. You can reach us via wideorbitsupport.com or Mike Z at wideorbit.com. We're here to help. We appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in.